What? Where is my car?
It's been a rough morning for 23-year-old Sergio Arroyo.
I drive all around in Muldoon, next to have the airport, Diamond. Right now, I am in the whole city, everywhere.
Frantically searching for his car that was stolen from his driveway in the middle of the night.
It's too hard, but I don't know what I need to do.
According to Anchorage police, the nightmare Arroyo is living is a feeling shared daily by people living throughout Anchorage.
It's everywhere. It's not just one part of town anymore. It's all over the place.
Since the beginning of the year, Anchorage police have taken 695 reports of stolen vehicles. That's almost double the number of vehicles stolen compared to the same time last year. APD says the rise in crime is directly related to drug use.
There's a lot of drug use, and drug use is connected to just about every crime we see, and stolen vehicles are no different.
Police say the most common vehicle stolen is the one left running and unattended.
We're still having a significant problem with people leaving their unattended vehicles locked with the keys inside and running. Unlocked and running. But even if people lock their vehicles and leave it running with the key inside, all that gets you is a stolen vehicle with a broken window.
I have in there tools, car seats, important papers.
For now, Arroyo was left with an empty parking spot and few options.
Everyone worked very hard to get something where you want it, and it's not good somebody coming and take it free only.
I'm going to tell you that I don't think this deters other defendants at all. A totally suspended jail sentence.
The harsh reality of a change in the sentencing rules for car thefts from SB 91. Today, a man convicted of stealing cars will get out of custody with only 6 months served, and the judge says, on the one hand, he doesn't see how that punishment will keep other people from doing the same thing. No matter where you live, what kind of car you drive, someone like this guy
Agreed upon sentence only causes me concern.
can steal your vehicle.
Last couple of months, last year, everything just kind of fell apart on me and led me to, kind of get in with like the wrong crowd and just not hang out with my regular friends and stuff, and ended up, doing some things I'm not proud of.
Anchorage police say car thefts have increased tremendously. In fact, they say thieves use the stolen vehicles to go do other crimes.
It's kind of an underground taxi system that people have learned to rely on.
Police say they usually find the stolen vehicles abandoned. The recovery rate to get your car back is 92%, and it happens in about 9 days. Usually the damage is a little less than $200. But another problem here is that few people are arrested for the crime.
The biggest thing about stolen vehicles is it still remains a crime of opportunity, which is one of the things that makes it so hard for police to kind of interrupt, because a large part of the responsibility for stopping this crime rests with the person that owns the car.
And that's why Captain Bill Miller told us this several times during our interview.
Just don't leave your car running with the keys in it.
Because if you do, and the person actually gets caught, very few of them end up here.
The collateral consequences of becoming a felon are life-changing, and as a result, Mr. Horowitz is going to have to make some significant life changes.
Well, a wave of auto thefts has hit the city, with a car reported stolen every 3 hours, and even one recent theft hit close to home. Investigative reporter Kyle Hopkins, who is also my husband, has our own personal story of what it's like to have your only family car stolen, and how it often takes a lot of help from strangers to get it back.
Rebecca, in a city where car thefts have skyrocketed over the past 2 years, our firsthand experience has become all too common. Our story is, of course, part of a larger trend that we're exploring in a 3-part special investigative series called Grand Theft Anchorage, which begins tonight on the NewsHour. But first, a preview, perhaps a bit of background on the both of us.
We're going to take you inside because you have to see this.
Regular viewers of KTUU have welcomed anchor Rebecca Palsha into their living room for more than 10 years.
Anchorage police are investigating the discovery of a body today.
And more recently, I joined the Channel 2 News family as an investigative reporter.
Kyle.
Yeah, Rebecca, the email came into our 2 Investigates address.
And yes, we're married, recently celebrating our 13th anniversary. We're an active 1-car, 2-kid household, seemingly always on the run, but with a routine that on a recent weekday morning was shockingly disrupted.
Looked outside and the car was gone. I was like, Kyle, where's the car? because he had gone to the gym the night before, and I just was like, what'd you do with it?
So what'd you say to him?
I was like, Kyle, where's the car? And
Where's the car? Where's the car?
yeah.
An 8-year-old SUV, which we bought used for my mom, is in fact our only family car.
So we work at the same place, so it seems crazy to have two cars.
And we're pretty cheap.
And it was missing from the driveway. While we slept, thieves had been prowling the neighborhood, caught on camera by our neighbor's home surveillance system. We called police.
The police officer told us, like, the car probably is on its way to buy drugs, or it's being traded for drugs, or people are using it as like a house to do drugs in.
One APD employee told me that it was like Uber for drug dealers.
The thieves took our car, leaving our family of 4 with a bicycle they ditched in our front yard.
First, like, I was really just mad.
As career journalists, we both reported on property crime. A lot.
And frustrated and kind of didn't know what to do.
Dozens of Anchorage cars stolen in a week, hundreds a month. But Anchorage police tell the media they simply do not have the staff to go looking for every one. So with the help of friends, known and unknown, it was now our turn to search for our stolen car ourselves.
Now that story airs tonight at 6 on the NewsHour. It's a story of how Good Samaritans, total strangers who really didn't have to help us, did, and provided the leads on exactly where to look.
And we are extremely, extremely thankful for them too, Kyle.
Already this year, more than 2,000 cars have been stolen in Anchorage. That's a staggering 300% increase over the same period in 2015. A wave of property crime that city officials say is linked to the statewide opioid epidemic.
Drop copies.
And police spread thin. We quickly learned that if we wanted to get our car back, we would have to get to work ourselves.
The APD employee said on the phone we wouldn't send an officer to go look for just one car. You know, they told us they wouldn't go looking for just one car. And then she's the first one who said, you should probably put it on Facebook, you should probably talk to cab companies and just get the word out that it's stolen.
And so we did. Sure enough, later that same day, I received the first of many tips. Our car parked along Tudor Road. I headed out to check out the tip. Someone on their walk to work had seen a car that looked like the one that I posted. False alarm. By the time Rebecca anchored the news,
Lawmakers will also be taking up the issue of public safety.
But that night, a tip on our post to the Stolen Alaska Facebook group, and a photo, our car, seen minutes earlier at a Midtown parking lot. I hurried there in a borrowed car.
I'm standing exactly where our stolen 2009 Hyundai Santa Fe was as of about 2 hours ago. I arrived maybe 45 minutes too late.
The tipster who saw our car didn't want to appear on camera. This is his voice.
And the description, like the roof rack and things that you had posted onto that Stolen Alaska page helped me like remember the image. And I pull back up the Stolen Alaska post and look at it and see that the license plate matches up.
I walked the neighborhood. Our tipster said 2 stolen cars had been parked in the same lot within a week or two. This Anchorage man was one of those theft victims.
Here's the pictures that I have.
But his truck was recovered with a bullet hole in the window and testing positive for meth. Unfortunately, our car got away.
It's just being driven around Anchorage, so wish me luck.
Not only was our family car still on the run, it was now being used in other crimes as captured on this home surveillance camera. But the next morning, 24 hours since the car was stolen, a new tip.
I just got done fishing, was driving down the road, and I happened to see the vehicle.
Ever since last August when Brian Bouchel was shot by an Anchorage burglar, he's been scouring the internet.
I don't trust nobody anymore as far as I'm concerned. And I'm always looking on them pages for my shooter because he's still out there.
He too had seen our post.
The silver roof rack was definitely the giveaway for that car. And I just did what I could really to try and help you out.
Brian called police and posted this tip to Facebook.
The insurance company told me that if they don't find it, if the car isn't found within 24 to 48 hours, then it probably is not going to be found. Although they'll wait a few weeks before they kind of write it off as straight up stolen.
I arrived just as the car was leaving. I called 911 and I followed and I watched. 2 men flagged it down, opened the back hatch and loaded something into the back. That's when I parked and started snapping these pictures from about 30 yards away. The car traveled another block and stopped.
Anchorage Police Dispatch.
The 911 dispatcher told me to stay put and stay safe.
The last thing we want is a citizen to place themselves in danger to assist us.
After several minutes, police arrived, making contact with the thieves.
You know, I can tell you watching our car and waiting for police at that moment was one of the more intense experiences I've had. And then to see strangers stepping out of it, to step out of your car surrounded by police with guns, that moment is where our story will pick up tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Wow, Kyle, I know all of us here in the newsroom were following your Facebook detective work that weekend and quite concerned about your safety, to be quite frank about it. So, Kyle, the big question people may be asking tonight, how did they steal your car in the first place?
That is a good question. I was pretty self-righteous at first, thinking there's no way I left it unlocked. I never leave it unlocked. But I probably left it unlocked. I think the lesson for me was that there's no room for error. I think, you know, I came home from the gym one night, probably didn't hit the thing on the fob and left it open, or unlocked anyway. We still aren't quite sure how they started it. That's a little bit of a mystery still. I think, you know, I don't know if it was a used car, maybe there was an extra key stashed in it we didn't know about. Maybe they, that part I actually don't really understand how that happened.
For more than 30 hours, I'd been desperately searching for my family car. Following every possible lead I received from online forums like Stolen in Alaska and Scanner Joe. I was driving around town in a borrowed car, my family's concern growing.
Then it got spooky, because then Kyle's, like the whole time we kind of talk to each other and text and stuff, and we don't go long, like naturally without talking to each other for very long, and he like went for like 2 hours without speaking to me.
And finally, a real-time tip led me to Midtown, where I witnessed the car being driven out of a fast food parking lot by total strangers. I followed right behind it, even taking pictures when the car stopped. Unknown items being loaded into the hatchback.
Anchorage Police Dispatch.
I told the 911 operator my specific location.
The police just arrived and have surrounded the car with guns drawn, and they have some guys on their knees.
Swarming the car and removing the occupants.
I was at a kid's birthday party with my sister-in-law, Kyle's sister, and she and I kept getting like Facebook alerts, and we're like, I think he found the car. And then I was like, that's my car right there.
Did you have another one stolen? It's full of stuff. There's just a bunch of stuff that, you know, you have to assume is stolen goods.
The purpose of the arraignment is to notify you of whatever charges have brought you into custody.
The driver turned out to be 20-year-old Alexis Stewart. No criminal record. Now charged with drug possession and vehicle theft.
Bail had previously been set at $1,000 cash or corporate. Does anyone wish to be heard on that?
But under the 2016 crime bill known as Senate Bill 91, Stewart won't face any upfront jail time. If convicted, any time behind bars would likely be suspended. A reality that's made the law among the most controversial in recent history.
I kind of felt bad and angry at the same time.
Anything else happened? Did you guys go anywhere?
As for the other occupants in the car, no arrests, no citations. Seemingly free to leave after a few questions from police. Before leaving on foot, one of the men even tried to take my headphones with him. A search of court records shows he does have a record for assault, trespassing, violating a restraining order, all taking place over the past 2 years.
The next step is at some point they'll take my car off of stolen status, and all that stuff that's in the back, they'll determine what's mine and what's not.
Like these cookies, this peanut butter, not mine. Neither are all these needles. Bolt cutters. A credit card and ID belonging to my neighbor who was burglarized the same night. And even a face mask. A full 36 hours after it went missing, we finally had our car back. The first stop, the car wash. And we were back to our family routine by Monday morning. But the last 48 hours wouldn't soon be forgotten.
Some of my things got stolen because they were in the car.
Like what?
A pencil that had paw prints on it, and a lot of my toys.
Poppy, do you still want to punch the person who broke into the car?
Yes.
Poppy's the enforcer of the house, and so she was like, if I find whoever stole that car, I will punch them in the face.
But we don't punch people.
Ours was just one story, one of 60 vehicles reported stolen in Anchorage that week alone. It was also a lesson in how during the current car theft epidemic, a community can come together to crack a case.
Really went out of their way for us, and I loved kind of the idea of everyone sticking together and we're all in this, we're gonna fix this whole thing together.
Our family is grateful for the police officers who answered our 911 call and ultimately made an arrest. They collected all the evidence and handed us our keys back right then and there. It was a good outcome in our case, and police say that more than 90% of the vehicles that are stolen are later recovered. Also, as you saw, all the passengers were let go that day when our car was found. But if it had happened today, that would not have been the case. The Anchorage Assembly last night voted to make it easier for prosecutors to charge people under a law that says it's illegal to ride in a stolen car.
So Kyle, in this case, Good Samaritans helped you find the car. You followed the perpetrators. So, okay, now what did police say about the dangers of getting involved?
Well, I guess I went right up to the line. That's something that Channel 2 News has been covering at length in recent months. It's a topic of conversation for sure, both with APD and crime victims who really want to do whatever they can to fight back, to get their things back during this epidemic in our city. But where is the line? How far can you go? That's what we'll be examining in part 3 of our series tomorrow at 6, when several other victims will share their stories.
I think Alice and Poppy ought to go for restitution.
Yeah.
Break-ins, burglaries, the kinds of crimes that rarely make headlines, but hammer every neighborhood in the city.
At any one time, we generally have about 100 vehicle theft prosecutions that are pending.
Now, connected by grassroots Facebook groups, some Anchorage residents are taking to the streets to get their property back.
We got to take responsibility, to step up. I think as a community and as for people, I think we should actually get involved.
With the advent of social media, the public has become a very vital tool.
But the trend raises questions about vigilantism. How far can you go to get back what's yours?
And I'll knock him in the face, it felt so good.
Or to help a stranger.
How many cars do you think you personally located?
Sunday we recovered 4, just the group ourselves. Myself personally, in the last year, probably 20, 25.
We want everyone to remain safe, and we would ask individuals to just be a good witness. Don't put yourself in harm's way.
But Floyd Hall is now fighting a reckless driving charge after police say he sped and drove the wrong way while chasing a stolen truck. Prosecutors tell Channel 2 you can't use deadly force in Alaska to stop a car thief unless your safety is in danger.
You can't use deadly force if people are trying to steal your car in your driveway because that's just property and that's not a burglary.
But where is the line?
A person's actions would have to be reasonable under the circumstances, and all of those things are evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Cases like Olin Henry, who recently spotted someone rifling through his father's Chevy Impala.
So you see he's in the front seat. He actually popped the hood right here. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, this is my friend's car. He told me to find something. And I said, bull. I'm telling you, finally to catch one of these guys.
He did more than watch. When Daniel Smith found his car window smashed and his iPhone missing, he used an app to hunt it down across town.
I started getting closer and closer to the GPS location on my phone, showed the policeman exactly, so it's right here.
In fact, police found 2 stolen motorcycles at the same address. And when someone cut the fence at Signco and stole owner Dave Mabius' special edition Silverado,
And that's about a $70,000 pickup.
he sought help from APD, but also the hive mind of social media.
Calling the police it's just another vehicle that's stolen to them.
You weren't armed before, and now you're
And now
armed
I am, yeah.
Because this experience.
Because of this experience.
Yeah. Victims like Mabius and Olin Henry think the laws are too soft.
They knew that they were going to be facing, 10 years in jail for doing something like that. They probably wouldn't risk it.
Well, it wasn't the weather, but a bold crime that gave employees of a local car dealership a chill when they got to work this morning.
We were notified that our recon center was broken into, and they used the blue Ford Fusion over there as a battering ram.
The weapon, this car, used as a battering ram. The target, a chain-link fence the burglars smashed through in the dead of night. The victim, the used car inspection and repair shop of one of the biggest car dealerships in town.
This is the third time that this building's been broken into.
Kendall Ford's general manager says the burglars smashed their way in around 3 a.m., broke a window to get into the office, then stole up to 20 sets of vehicle keys, then took off with 3 vehicles.
It's really difficult to operate when you're constantly on the defensive for all the theft that's going on and the vandalism.
And to prevent the bandits from coming back and stealing even more, Kendall Ford has been forced to scatter the cars that match the stolen keys to locations all across the city. The company says rekeying those cars will cost thousands.
The keys are anywhere from $300 to probably $800 a piece, plus all the labor to do it. And some of the German vehicles are much more than that.
And an almost identical crime happened a little more than a week ago at Lithia Kia in Midtown. 2 burglars broke in around 3:30 a.m. and stole car keys from the office.
This is them in a customer car. They just took her keys, one of 20, and they're using her car to bust down our fence right here, our gate in the back.
They used a customer's car as a battering ram to get into a fence lot for the service department.
And you can see here in a second that he hits it pretty hard 2 times. And here goes the first time, and you can kind of see the gate rattle here. He doesn't quite get it, and then he backs it up and does it again.
And these 2 dealerships are not the only ones. APD says other car lots have been hit recently.
Well, I'll tell you this. 3 of our Lithia stores have been hit in the last 2 weeks. I know a couple other independents on this road that have been hit also, so it's gotten really bad.
Here are security camera pics of the burglars in the Lithia Kia break-in.
I'm just glad nobody's got hurt, you know, because they're brazen. These guys are brazen. We have video where they don't care, and it's scary.